Boop, boop. Hello, everyone. We are live. Welcome to the first episode of Whatcha Watching, presented by HCA. I, of course, am Scott Menzel, and I'm wondering if you can see all the wonderful, beautiful people on the screen with me.
Where?
You can't see them? You can't see
No,
them?
I can see. No, they can't see me, thankfully.
Well, of course, that's Demetri. He had to be the first one out of the gate to say something. So, Demetri, why don't you introduce yourself and tell the nice people where they can find you?
Hey, cheers, everybody. I thought this was the Zoom cocktail party, but instead we're going to talk movies and stuff. So, yeah, this is awesome. And Scott, thanks for putting this together. And no, I'm just part of the HCA. I was part of Popcorn Talk Network, and you know how much I love talking movies and the movie going experience, which I find to be vindicated in many ways, because now on social media, all I'm reading are people, "Well, I miss movies, and these are like the same people who are going, "Oh my God, it's so awesome, we're getting first-run movies on VOD," and I'm like, nah. So, yeah, always here, and that's what I'll be talking about, our movies, and a documentary that I've seen on a Blu-ray disc. So, yeah, I'm very excited. And I love, this is the first time, Lupe, you and I have ever done this before.
Yeah.
You should do it in person. We just met. Yeah, this is awesome.
All right, so newbie to HCA this year, and she got introduced into the wonderful group during this wonderful quarantine that we're in. How excited for her. But Shannon McGrew.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. My site is called Nightmarish Conjurings, and typically we review all things horror, though we do add a sprinkle of other things as well. As you can see behind me, I'm a huge Trick or Treat fan. But today I'm going to be talking about Tiger King, which has overtaken my life during quarantine, as well as watching Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Awesome. And finally, Lupe, who's going back and forth. Good.
Yeah, so I'll be talking about TV shows and movies because we're all experts right now because everyone's watching. So everyone's looking for new stuff to watch because we got plenty of time. Unfortunately. Well, fortunately and unfortunately, right?
Side.
Yeah, time is on our side.
All right. So why don't we let Shannon go first? You have two things you want to talk about. Let's just talk about one.
Okay.
What's the first one you want to talk about?
I guess we could start with Tiger King. Let's just get that out of the way. So, I mean, it's kind of become this pop culture phenomenon. I think, quarantine has a lot to do with it. I kind of started watching it because I had just heard some people on social media talking about it, and I was sick with bronchitis at the time. So I was like, I'll give this a shot and see what it's about. And it just, it rocked my world in a way that a documentary hasn't in a very long time. I've also actually been to Big Cat Rescue, which part of the documentary takes place at. So that was kind of wild. And it's one of those. So for those not familiar, it's about this guy named Joe Exotic who owns a zoo that has big cats, lions, tigers, all that. And he's jealous of another zoo run by Carol Baskin, who has a legit zoo. She's crazy. And he ends up doing a murder for hire plot to try to kill her because she's been going after his zoo because of the unethical treatment of the animals, even though her zoo kind of doesn't treat the animals. But it is, I don't know if we're allowed to swear on this. It is a shit
You sure
show.
can.
Okay.
Go
It
ahead.
is just, there's no proper way to explain it because every episode it just gets crazier and crazier. And it's redneck hicks and meth and murder and tigers and sex cults. And it's just it is the craziest thing I've watched. And I don't typically watch a lot of TV or series because I am so constantly watching movies. And I think I watched this in a day and a half. Like it was just like after work, like I just couldn't stop. So
I got to be honest. It's one of those shows that everyone has recommended to me. And I watched the trailer on Netflix and I'm like, no, I can't do it. I can't do it. There's something about it. I just cannot put that on.
I mean, I don't think anybody in the show is good at all. Like, I do fully believe Joe Exotic should be in jail for the unethical treatment of the animals at a zoo. I think Carol Baskin most probably had something to kind of do with the disappearance of her husband. Just none of the characters are like good, but it's just, I guess because it's so batshit insane and it just never gives up that like you just are kind of every episode you're like, how is this even real life? Like, also, why is a tiger only $2,000? Like, there's so many questions. Yeah. So many. I mean, I could talk about this forever, and I don't want to take up too much time. But it's not a great show. Like, there aren't great people, and the treatment of the animals needs to definitely be addressed. But like, if you just need something to just take your mind off of what's going on in the world, like 100% watch Tiger King.
See, it's hard for me because things are so batshit crazy now.
Yeah.
With everything you watch on TV, to watch something else that's batshit crazy, and especially the treatments of the tigers. But I think the line you said, like, how is a tiger only $2,000? I think Tracy Morgan might have said that on Howard Stern like yesterday, like $2,000 for a tiger? That's it?
I went through like so many emotions. Like at first I was like, the first episode, I was like, oh, okay, this is whatever. And then by like the end of the second episode, I was like, it can't get crazier than this. And it just like piled on and piled on and piled on. And you're just like, how do these people exist?
How are they allowed to do what they do?
Yeah, and they never saw Siegfried and Roy. See how that ended.
Well, like one of the characters in the show got her arm ripped off. And then 5 days later was like, cool, I'll be back at work. And it's just like, or 5 days after getting it amputated because she didn't want to have to go through physical therapy.
Yeah. How about that?
5 days after that, she went back to work. And I was like, yeah, that would have been a hard pass for me. That would have been good.
So I was debating about this the other day, and I messaged Jazz, our wonderful vice president, and I said, do you really think Tiger King would be a thing if it wasn't for quarantine? So I want to know you guys' answers.
I think so. I think it may not have had as much of an impact. I think because with everybody, like the virus itself, it was like wildfire. It just blew up. But I think once people realize just how crazy the storyline is, I think it would have caught on, but I think it just caught on faster.
Well, plus right now you have instant viewing. Yeah. Whereas before, like the talk shows, they have to plan ahead. So it'd be, now it's like right away, people are interviewing these people. Yeah. And that's why it was surprised me that people are celebrating these people, and it bothers me. I think I watched it. And I did not like any of these people, and I was horrified by the end, thinking those poor cats. And plus, these people are murdering cats after they've grown to adult size. Or
I just like size. The memes.
Yeah, no, but you know what I'm saying? They're celebrating it. It's like don't interview them. Like the guy who took over Joe Exotic's zoo.
Oh, that guy! Oh my god,
he's the worst of the worst, and he's like, I'm a celebrity now, kind of deal, and he doesn't deserve to be. So it's like it's a documentary, but these shouldn't be celebrated.
Yeah,
I think it's just the kind of kitschy, trashy things. That would have caught on. Yeah, regardless, it's like a Beverly Hills Housewives kind of look into reality, and you can't believe this is reality, but it's reality. So if it weren't on Netflix, it would have been on like, I don't know, whatever Beverly Hills Housewives is on, or something like like it would have been on something like that, and everybody would talk. Like if you were at work and you would whatever job to go to, it's the water cooler show. Everybody, to Shannon's point and Lupe's point too, not to be repetitive, but this quarantine, this stay at home, we are watching a lot more on TV. So I think that was a boost. But there's something in me that tells me this is kind of just that kind of trashy show that people will gravitate to just to talk about. And then the wildfire of it, the viralness of it, it's one of those things where everybody, like Scott, you started off saying, I heard about it from so many people. And to me, that's always a turnoff. Like when everybody's, oh, you got to watch this, you got to watch this. I said, do I though? Do I? But a lot of people, it's word of mouth. It's what makes our industry work sometimes so well too. It's you have to be in the know.
Yeah. You know, actually, I wasn't going to watch it, and then with quarantine, I was like, I just had time. So all of a sudden, because I got sent the Netflix, Netflix sent the press release, and I saw, and I'm like, I don't know about this. But then I was just home, and I was like, what the hell?
See, I actually don't think it would have been popular. I think it would have been like something that we would eventually have watched, and you would have heard like a little bit of buzz about it. But I don't feel like anyone who wasn't stuck in one place would sit through this over and over and over again. I mean, like it has become a cultural phenomenon, like in so many ways. I mean, for the last 3 weeks, I think coronavirus and Tiger King have gone hand in hand with words that come out of people's mouths.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, but I really just don't think that it had that type of, I don't know, like just watching the trailer, I don't think it had that hook that if someone was going to watch it, they would watch it willingly unless they heard a bunch of hype around it. And I don't know, given like if like Quiet Place and all these other movies came out, if people would actually be talking about it as much.
Yeah,
I think to your point too, like, or I think having a site that's a niche site, like doing horror and true crime and stuff like that, I think in that little circle, it probably would have exploded because I've seen so many true crime things. But now thinking about it, as to what you were saying, it may not have exploded as hugely as it did until much later.
Well, right. What will be the ultimate test is if there is a season 2. And I don't know
another season, another episode is dropping.
So, and it'll be interesting. Well, an episode is one thing, but true. If there is a quote unquote season 2, how will people, and then hopefully by the time that they put that out, there's some semblance of normalcy, like we're all saying, and then you'll know whether it's like whether people will watch it again. It's not going to have the Stranger Things kind of kitsch. I think it's going to be perhaps once we get to normalcy, forgettable.
Yeah,
like it was something to watch while we were home, but I still think the first season, it was just different and it was captivating enough. And it is the kind of stuff that people actually they lean towards for streaming, for episodic stuff on Netflix. And,
well, there's
the channels. No, not at all, Lupe. My apologies.
So there's a movie coming about Carol Baskin.
I can't wait.
Kate McKinnon's supposed to play.
So
Carol
excited.
Baskin. And Discovery AD, I think yesterday announced that they're going to do a show about the murder or about the disappearance.
Oh my God.
So that's
having now gone to Big Cat Rescue, I'm like, did I miss out on her husband being buried somewhere? Like,
did you see a tiger chewing on some bone going?
I saw tigers and I saw lions, but they were all in cages.
Oh, that's sad. That sucks.
Yeah.
Well, I'm raising great white sharks.
Of course.
So, just I have one called Fishy. He's really nice. So, and I had him as a pup. He's 8 feet and
get a bad rap.
In my bathtub. He's in my bathtub. Yeah, it's a bad rap. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right,
very,
and
very nice.
I'm going to move on now to Lupe to give one of her picks.
All right, my TV pick is Ozark. I just finished season 3 on Netflix this past weekend, and oh my gosh, it is pretty much shocking. It starts out really slow, a little slow, But then we get hyping, and Laura Linney steals this season because she takes the reins from Jason Bateman's character, and he's like, "Hey, calm down." She's like, "Nope, I'm going to deal with this drug dealer on my own," and she does, and she owns him.
I need to watch that series.
Yeah, and the finale, oh my gosh, I jumped. It was
really
because you anticipate one thing and then something else happens. So
can I ask, does Jason Bateman direct any of the episodes?
He directs. He's executive producer. She's got a big hand in it. So, and it's nice that he let Laura Linney kind of see the second season. She was kind of taking over, but in this one, she fully takes over, and her performance is just amazing.
That's great.
It's another show I have not seen, and I want to watch it, but I know that it's another one where I feel like this is and correct me if I'm wrong, Lupe, but this is a show where you really have to be invested and pay attention to, right? And sit down and really dedicate
you mean
an hour.
Like in a Lost kind of way, or no?
Yeah, like that.
No,
not
at all.
Oh,
no, it's easy to follow.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, because there's nothing happens in one episode that's not gonna continue to the next. So it's not all self-contained. Like that. What's the new show on AMC with Jason? Not Jason. It's like a mystery show. So if you don't watch one show, you're lost pretty much for the next one.
I have no idea what that is.
What is it called?
This is why I run a film group, not a...
I don't know. I'm just throwing The Sopranos out there, which was episodic but had a through line of story.
It's pretty much. I think it's like The Sopranos. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I asked about Jason Bateman because The Outsiders, which was just on HBO, not that I was going to talk about that, but he directed the pilot, which was 2 episodes, 2 hours. And it was an amazing 2 hours of TV. I thought it was a really well done series. I read the book, Stephen King fan, and I thought they adapted it extraordinarily well.
I hated that book.
See, really? See, another friend of mine hated it too, but I really enjoyed the book. And
I hated the ending. I like the series though.
I really enjoyed the book a lot and the series, but Jason Bateman was fantastic, and he gives a monologue within the first episode that I rewound 2 times to rewatch. He is such an amazing talent. I guess did he just drop out a Clue? Probably a good idea, I thought. Didn't he just drop out a Clue?
I don't know. I haven't read
Wasn't he supposed to direct that?
I don't know.
I thought. I could be wrong. Somebody double check me. It could be the Manhattan Talking. I don't know. I thought he was directing. I thought he was directing Clue. But maybe not. But he's a really solid director. He's really good. So.
You're right.
Yeah, I mean, this was really surprising.
That's from the Flickering Myth that said he dropped out, but so far they're the only people who reported on it. But no, now it says James Bobbin is directing it. So,
well, he's a solid director. I'd like to see him direct. Didn't he? Because he did direct Bad Words, which is hysterical.
Oh yeah,
with Jason Bateman, right?
Movie's,
with Jason Bateman.
Jason Bateman, yeah, and he's just I think he's just become so well-rounded, and he's really turned into not only a good actor, but he's a very technical, very good director that can do suspense and comedy, and each require precise timing to make it work, and he's good. So thanks, Lupe. I will watch those.
Yeah, 3 seasons, so it's an easy watch.
Nice.
You don't have to pay that close attention.
Nice.
That's
good to know. All right, Demetri, go for your first pick.
All right, so my first pick is basically it's an inspired by pick. So it's basically a friend had recommended this amazing book called The Big Goodbye, Chinatown in the Last Years of Hollywood, and it's by this gentleman Sam Wasson, and it should have been about the last era of Hollywood, because it really is about the making, the writing by town, and the making of Chinatown But within that, there's this whole thing about how movies were made from the late 60s going into the 70s, and how that era of movie making just does not exist anymore. So much to the point that I don't believe a movie like Chinatown would be made today. And of course, we know Chinatown is a classic film noir, but I've gained so much appreciation from reading this book and Robert Evans, Robert Town, and it demystifies a lot of things that we've come to know about the movie Chinatown. And so reading this book, it inspired me to rewatch Chinatown, obviously, and a lot of other movies that came out in the 70s, because the studio system changed then. And the studio system, and the book even notes this, changed due to one movie, and that was Jaws, when that came out, because Jaws ended up changing everything. And from 1975, as the years go on and we're heading into the 80s, you'll notice that the movies are starting to change from being nihilistic and have not so happy endings like Chinatown. And they become a little bit happier endings. Steven Spielberg, George Lucas, of course. And then we go into the 80s. And it really is this transition from when Robert Evans, who ran Paramount and was a producer, the producers had a lot more creative control over their content, and they're able to make movies the way they felt that they should be made without much studio involvement. Doesn't happen today. So rewatching Chinatown in certain specific scenes too, I was like watching it with a new lens. The movie is already classic, but I feel now I just have a grander appreciation for not only the movie, but the movie of the 70s, some movies of the 70s as well. I also have a brand new appreciation for Jack Nicholson, of all people. He was this guy coming up in the world. He really was very, very, he was very gracious to his friends. He was very loyal. So he obviously hit it big with Easy Rider and then with Chinatown, and he was already directing. But he had his house, and he had a big bowl of money. Of course, with a big bowl of cocaine, not too far from it, but a big bowl of money. And, if his friends weren't doing so well and they were trying to get gigs, he let them stay at his house. They could take monies if they needed it. Didn't have to repay it, and he also helped them get jobs. This is an aspect of Jack Nicholson that I didn't know at all, and I really came to appreciate him for that. And again, watching Chinatown now with this new lens, I just appreciated his performance even that much more. Same with Faye Dunaway, who always had a reputation for being, let's just say, not easy to work with. But Jack Nicholson actually kind of took her under his wing when she wasn't being treated well. Like, there's a great scene in Chinatown where Jack Nicholson is slapping her, and he's really slapping her for the truth. And Roman Polanski, like, do it again. Do it again. And, it was obviously in retribution for her attitude on set, as well as there are other things. So great appreciation for that era of movie making, which transitioned into the Michael Eisner taking over Paramount, Don Simpson, the Don Simpson years. And I have a new fondness of even a little bit of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, because the book The Big Goodbye, pretty much opens up with Roman Polanski meeting Jim and Kate. And that whole the Helter Skelter murders play a factor into the psyche of Polanski, because he was coming off of Rosemary's Baby and what he was going to do next, and this really devastated him. And you also learn about his upbringing. The book does not forgive him for his actions, so I'll put that out real. I will say that right up front. It does not at all lessen what he did or forgive him, nor should it. But I do find, again, when I watched Chinatown again, and you can see this, it's on Blu-ray, it's on TCM, you can find it on demand. It's really easy to do. But look at the cinematography, the set decoration, and then a lot of these people work together again on Town script, which he worked with Warren Beatty, who also factors into the book in Shampoo, another great 70s era movie of that same ilk. And yeah, it just gave me a brand new appreciation for, I love film noir to begin with. So I love more of it. And I've watched a lot of more 70s movies. Suspense films. I just watched the original When a Stranger Calls, which was 79, which we're going sort of kind of into the end of the 70s there. But yeah, so I highly recommend look on your on-demand, look at Chinatown. But I also recommend that you read this book because it really does give a great, it reminded me of the books that I read on my own when I was going through college, like Real Power or Indecent Exposure. These were the nitty-gritty, the guts of Hollywood, and it explained Hollywood in such a way that you know, even a schmohawk like myself could understand. But it's what I loved about reading about these stories, about how people intersected with one another, so to speak, and how they worked and how movies were made. And so the book is fantastic, and I tell you, you'll gain a brand new appreciation for an already great movie, which is Chinatown.
Awesome. Okay. So something a little bit more upbeat for me. I'll start with something simple, and then I'll like kind of go into something a little bit later for my second pick. I have to say that, you know, the last, 3-4 weeks now at this point, it's been a very interesting change in moods for myself. First couple of days, I was kind of okay with everything. I was kind of like, well, you know, this is back to like when we were kids and we're at home all the time, and, you know, mom and dad, everyone's around, and I get to spend time with the dogs, you know. And then, you know, after like the first week or so went by, I started, you know, missing doing what we're doing now and interacting with others. And my mood just, I feel like it's like one day I get up and I'm in a good mood, and next day I'm kind of down, and back and forth, back and forth. I'm sure all of you are feeling something very similar, maybe even throughout the day. But I will tell you that there's been a lot of hate and bashing on celebrities over the last couple of weeks that I've noticed. I hope all the PR companies are taking note when they turn down people for interviews soon, since a lot of people get turned down for interviews because they don't like a movie, yet people are attacking celebrities left and right. Some of them, I have to admit, like, they're pushing boundaries a little bit too much, like Kim Kardashian. But like when people were attacking Gal Gadot, my opinion is I don't understand why people were so upset about that. She was just trying to do something nice. But one celebrity who really has been doing a lot of nice things, and actually everyone has been appreciating it, is John Krasinski. And I honestly, I cannot tell you how happy I was when some good news came out the first episode and they did the interview with Steve Carell, and just watching the video of them going around and picking up happy things to talk about. And then 2 days later, 2 days ago, there was another episode that just dropped where he helped out a little girl who was supposed to go see Hamilton, and they got all the cast of Hamilton to sing the song. This is the stuff that makes me happy to be alive and like proud of people, as opposed to when I go outside in the world and I see people like in the coronavirus sitting there running around in groups and being at the beaches. So I am very appreciative to John Krasinski for doing this and really making an effort. And I don't know if anyone's watched the second episode, but is it just me, or does it look like he wants to cry like during the entire episode? Like he has like tears in his eyes during the whole thing. But
he's a sweet cinnamon bun that we must protect.
Yes.
I wasn't exactly going to say that, but
we must protect John Krasinski at all costs.
He's just so likable.
He is. Again, Jazz and I text pretty often. And we were talking about the new episode, and she was saying that, he has the potential of being the next Tom Hanks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He just has that likable quality.
He's just so down to earth. Like, you can hang with him.
Yeah. And
he's not at all.
I've not had experience. I can only say a good friend of mine, his name's Paul, who's part of the Coast Guard. He consulted on Jack Ryan, the pilot episode, in which they used a Coast Guard helicopter. And he had nothing but high praises to say what a nice guy John was to work with. And he was just so into everything there. But he just seems like a really nice guy. And again, another talent, both in front and behind the camera. And we do have to cherish this, within the business. I don't believe he's going to change at all, but he seems to have like a good life, and he wants to do good. And we have to applaud that. It's hard, Scott, to your point. These days, it's hard. We see a lot of buffoonery taking place, whether it's in the news or whether it's outside our front door.
Yeah.
And we can't forget, that people like John Krasinski, but I'm even going to go to our healthcare workers, to our people who are on the front line. This is the time where we have to, as hard as it is, and it's very hard for me because I don't think I've ever been so angry in my life at politics, but to try to do some semblance of good, because we are all in this together. And if we can help out a neighbor or friend or try to make somebody smile during all of this, it only makes our lives that much harder. Yeah. So that's why I appreciate what John's doing with this. And he's not getting blowback. With the Gal Gadot, with the Imagine thing, you kind of almost get it. Like, I understand what they were trying to accomplish, but I also understand some of the feedback they got because they are living in a different world than the people who are watching that video who don't have that. And to say, imagine there's no, because there was one line that really got people, like, imagine there's no God.
Yeah.
And, people are like, are you kidding me right now? Oh. So they may have picked
wrong message right now.
Wrong, it may be the wrong song. And I get what they were trying to do. John Krasinski's totally different. And it's a good news podcast. Isn't that the name of it?
Yeah. Yeah. Some good news. Good news. Yeah. And I just think that, I think it's just positivity right now. And thank you, Demetri, for bringing it up. Like, the reason why I wanted to bring up this show is not only to showcase that John Krasinski's doing good, but also to bring up the point that you also already addressed. And that is, like, thank you to all the healthcare workers and, like, the people in the stores and the restaurants and everyone who's still out there, like, risking their lives day in and day out to make sure that everyone else is taken care of.
Pardon me for interrupting, but you yourself too do some deliveries, if I am correct. So, and we had the conversation. So, you yourself are putting yourself at great risk because we all of us have to put ourselves in the lives of strangers. And I'm at a point where I don't trust a lot of these people for not being at a beach and not catching this damn virus. Scott, you're putting yourself in a way where not only just going to the store, but going to people's homes and whatever, you are, in a sense, and you're providing a much needed service for many people, but you have to rely that people are adhering to a social contract. Yeah. And not a lot of them have been.
Right. That's very true.
That is what is scary. It's aggravating, Lupe, and it's scary, and it makes me anxious, and I have a lot of anxiety when I go to Costco.
All right, moving off the coronavirus conversation.
But I just wanted to say, Scott, you yourself.
No, I know.
You don't like the praise, but you yourself are doing that. So I say cheers to you as well, buddy. But you know, you are one of those people, those service people, industry people on the front line. So
yeah, and I mean, I think it's been very, you know, eye-opening too, to kind of see these little appreciations that people have. You know, there's one person who I've been doing their grocery run for them once a week because they left a note, like one of their kids has an immune disorder. And they can't go out at all. And they left a note with like little Frozen stickers on the door. And they were like, hey, Amazon person, if you can actually text me and like, let me know if you can run to the store for me. And I felt, you know, and me and the lady like text back and forth a couple times a week now. It's nice. And like, you can tell like the older people that like someone gave me like $10 the other day, like left it on the door and they're like food angel. And I'm like, just thinking like, it's like really nice little things. And then, you know, like Demetri says, then you have the people in the ocean or riding their bikes and you're like, kind of like, what is going on right now?
Yeah. And I will say, Scott, with all the praise though, my eggs the other day, a couple were cracked.
Yeah, there you go.
Don't put eggs on the bottom of the bag, Scott. You just don't do it.
All right. Going back to Shannon. What's your second pick?
So going back to the coronavirus, because it does bring up my second one. So I have an autoimmune disorder and I have fibromyalgia. And then I got sick with bronchitis right at the start of all this. So I essentially just thought I was dying to begin with. So I have barely left my house in 28 days, except for doctor's appointments and CVS. And the first week I was super, super depressed and sad. And my partner, who also does delivery stuff as well, that was another anxiety thing. He was like, oh, well, I want to watch season 10 of Curb Your Enthusiasm. And I've never watched Curb Your Enthusiasm, but I thought, well, if it's supposed to be like funny, then okay. And I just like dived in with him to season 10 with no idea about the show or anything. And I have to say, like, watching it has been such a great experience because not only do I get to spend time with my partner, but like, it's so funny that it helps to take away all the negative stuff, even though Larry David does a lot of negative stuff. It takes it away from like the outside stuff. And so essentially we've watched season 10 and then he wanted to show me season 7 because he's a big Seinfeld fan. And then we've decided to start from the beginning and we just finished season 1. And so almost every night we watch about like 1 or 2 episodes and it's become like this nightly tradition. And it's just so ridiculous. And like, I love it so much because I'm like, who is that unlucky or who just puts themselves in situations like that in like the most ridiculous circumstances? And it kind of makes me feel better about my life a little bit. Granted, he's like worth like $400 million. So like, I'm not going to feel like too bad. And I only know that because I recently looked it up out of sheer curiosity, but it's just like every episode's a train wreck kind of, but in a different way than Tiger King. And it's just funny. Like the characters are ridiculous and it's just been such a great, like, and it's something that I don't have to review. So like, I appreciate having the break from that because that, you know, the whole virus really impacted a lot of that. But I have to get back to it. It's just been such a great escape and I'm glad to know that there's 10 seasons. So it's not like it's going to run out like anytime soon. And now to be able to go back from season 10 to season 1 and pick up on the jokes that I know will be coming later on has been interesting. I don't think that's the best review of Curb Your Enthusiasm, but that's just kind of
it's honest. It came from the heart. Come on.
I will say you have the benefit though of, as you just said, of watching the 10 seasons. As a person who is a fan of Seinfeld and Larry David, I actually was one of the 2 people that watched the only movie that he directed, which somebody could look that up. I right now I forget what the name of the movie was, but I was a huge fan of Larry David, so I've been watching it since season 1. If you know anything about Curb Your Enthusiasm, there are many years in between seasons as to whether or not he's going to do another season, so you have to wait. So once season 10 ended, I was just bummed because I'm like, this could be another 3 years, 5 years, or it just may never happen. You just never know. And I will say that I do believe that season 10 was one of the best. To me, I would rank it in the top 3 seasons.
Oh, wow.
And when it started off with he and Jeff Garlin walking on the sidewalk and him breaking that selfie stick in half and handed it to the guy, I was all in. And I really did think it was one of the best seasons. A Spite Store.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. And I feel like it also encapsulates LA, because I'm not originally I'm from Boston. I'm from the East Coast, and it's kind of refreshing to see. Oh, right on. Whereabouts?
Peabody.
Okay, I was saying Boston, but I'm where the Boston Marathon starts in Hopkinton.
Oh yeah, sure.
So
absolutely.
yeah. So it's nice to see that kind of Boston attitude, how Larry David acts. So it kind of reminds me of home a little bit. Yeah, very East Coast. And yeah, it's been like a wild ride. I will admit I eat a lot of edibles when I'm watching it. So
who hasn't?
No, that's great.
You know, I just wanted to.
And Shannon posts about that regularly. Shannon's very open about her edible.
I'm very open. Yes, I'm a big supporter of cannabis as somebody who has a pain issue, and I've had to switch to edibles during the coronavirus, and it's been an experience. My poor boyfriend. But anyways, yes, Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Where is it? Where are all 10 episodes on?
What?
Is it on HBO Demand, or where are you watching it?
It is on HBO Go. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I would say too that, you know, one of the things that I love about Curb, and it was one of the things I loved about Seinfeld, is that you can inadvertently get into these situations. Like you mentioned the pilot, you mentioned season 1, and he goes out on a date and he's wearing corduroy pants.
Oh my God, I can't get over his outfits. They make me so mad.
Corduroy pants tend to bunch up at a certain place in the crotch area. And I could see, like, you know, when he takes a date out to the movies and she looks down at his lap and his corduroy pants are bunched up and she thinks it's something else and the date goes horribly awry. And I'm like, yeah, that could happen to me.
It's also interesting watching. So like having, I don't know if you guys have watched Curb Your Enthusiasm, but like
a few episodes here and there.
Okay. So watching season 10, it's like super polished and like all crisp and clean and like very well done. And then you go to season 1 and it's like almost like a shaky camera documentary found footage. So it's really interesting to see this huge difference between the seasons.
Yeah.
Well, it's called, I believe it's called HBO wanting to keep Larry David happy. And it is one of their biggest shows. Well, in all honesty, it's one of their biggest shows. When you think about that, Curb Your Enthusiasm was also on at the same time The Sopranos was on. A lot of great shows that were on HBO that no longer are. And Curb is still there, thank God. But again, with every ending season, it's always like, oh no, how long am I going to have to wait? And does he want to do it? And sometimes that wait is long. Long. So I envy you that you have 9 seasons to go through right now. But
well, technically only 7.
But when you get to that episode, to that last episode, you're gonna go, oh, I want more.
Yeah.
You get really hooked.
By the way,
that kind of uncomfortable
Demetri, the movie you were thinking of was called Sour Grapes.
I was just
oh yeah, that's the one that he's been talking a lot about in the episodes.
Yeah, he directed that movie. He wrote it. I believe it was Peter Weber was the lead.
I didn't realize it was a real movie.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, no,
it didn't do very well.
It
did not do very well.
No, like I said, I was one of the 2 people that saw it, and it was me and Larry David.
Yeah.
But you know, there's a great, you know, it has that Larry David humor where somebody's like has a sport coat on, And this woman comes up, she goes, oh, and she starts feeling, she goes, what is that, burlap? And I'm like, that's Larry David humor for you right there. They even do an elevator, like trying to hit the closed door button before somebody gets on kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
To me, it's genius.
It's a great show, and if anyone's looking for something to watch that'll just make you laugh, like honestly, it's the best. It's been such a great time.
If you like that kind of humor, I try to have people watch it, and it makes them feel extraordinarily uncomfortable and on edge.
Yeah,
because he's so like, how do you say that out loud? And sometimes he's saying things that we all wish we wish. Listen, I go to Disney a lot. I wish I could have broken many a selfie stick. Like, but you just can't do that.
I mean, if you're gonna open up a spite store, you should be prepared for whatever is gonna happen, like underneath that. Like, you know, that was pretty epic in terms of like revenge. So I applaud
Mocha
that.
Joe.
Latte Larry and Mocha Joe.
All right, Lupe, you're dying. Go over there. Go over there. Tell me something new. Switch the subject. Switch the subject.
The opposite
Get off the right stuff over here.
On the opposite end of that, I'm going to recommend. I just discovered Vida, which is a TV series on Stars. It's on the second season. I have not watched the second season because I don't have Stars. But Vida is on Amazon Prime right now. And if you're looking for kind of alternative programming, it's Latinos, and you really get to see Latinos biculturally. And we're talking about Angelinos here in LA. And it's pretty much all newcomers, and it's really good. It's kind of a soap opera-y type tale. And then you also have Gentefied, which is on Netflix, kind of a similar topic, which is about gentrification. Vida's gentrification is taking place in Boyle Heights. And then Gentefied, I think, I forgot where in LA.
It's also Boyle Heights.
It's also Boyle Heights. Oh, okay. Yeah. So one, Vida is a little more soap opera-y, and Gentefied, just by the 4th, 5th episode, you're heartbroken because you really get to know all these people. No, there's no deaths, but they just really drill down the different types of people in that city and how everything is affecting them. And it was just, at first, the first 4 episodes, I'm like, oh, it's good. By the 5th episode, I was like, oh my God. Steal my heart. Like, you really, they delve deep into all kinds of Latinos, and that's what I really, really liked about the show. So it's very different, it's very personal, and so I highly recommend it to people, especially since Netflix is pretty accessible.
Won't
knock it out.
Oh no!
Hopefully more people will watch it. And I'm back. Did I get lost?
You did. You dropped off there you want to repeat that last part just so everyone can get it?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So if you're looking for some, alternative programming, I know Latinos are always, we're used to seeing them now, like in Narcos and all these other shows about drug lords. So this is, these two shows are very, very different. And I think it delves deep down into what bicultural Latinos go through, especially here in city of LA. So I highly recommend those two shows.
I heard it's phenomenal.
Which one, Gentefied or Vida?
Gentefied.
Yeah, and then the cliffhanger, oh my God, again, straight to the heart. So it's really, you really like these characters. And actually an actor on the show, I used to work with him at a network called LATV for Latino. It was Latino syndicated show. And so I'm really, really happy for him that he's finally getting his big shot, and he's awesome in the show. It's perfect for him. So
let me ask you something, Lupe. So one of the things that I will give Netflix a ton of credit for is the fact that they are making shows that are very diverse and also inclusion. And I think both those things kind of go hand in hand. And I know everyone was very upset when One Day at a Time was canceled, but then Pop TV just picked it up, which is great. Do you feel like Netflix is going to be the game changer for inclusion?
Oh my God. I pretty much primarily watch Netflix because all their shows, they're so inclusive, and it shows the real world. What is Ali Wong's show with Always Be My Maybe. I love that show. I'm not Asian. You don't have to be Asian to watch that show.
No.
And that's the point of that movie, is that you can have these likable characters, and especially being my culture myself, seeing that, it's just so relatable, because it's just, you can relate to it. And all their shows, their casting is marvelous. 13 Reasons Why.
Yeah.
And all these shows towards the young adults I watch. I like them.
Yeah. Did you see Daybreak?
Daybreak? No, not yet.
Daybreak is pretty good.
Really? Is it good?
I'm surprised nobody has seen this. Have you seen it, Shannon? It's the post-apocalyptic show.
I've heard of it. I haven't watched it.
Oh, wait a minute. Where the zombies are like, they run really fast, right?
Yeah.
I did. I watched like the first 6. I didn't finish it, but yeah, it's pretty good.
It's got Matthew Broderick in it and a couple other people. Yeah.
Well, really? Fast zombies are assholes.
It's on Netflix?
Yep. It's really fun. It's fun.
Yeah, it's fun. It makes you feel like you're on drugs.
I heard that was fun. Yeah.
Because the camera work is so frantic.
So no edibles watching that.
No edibles watching that. All right, Demetri, what's your second pick?
All right, so my next pick is something that I found to be really cool. Look, we all love movies, right? And I think part of why we like physical, like once a movie leaves a theater, and what made DVDs, laser discs in particular, but DVDs and then early on Blu-rays really popular for us movie fans, were the special bonus features, specifically the documentaries or the making of the movies. You can go from Jaws. Close Encounters had great docs. Mission Impossible, Lord of the Rings, the Star Wars movies, Star Trek, from the original cast, had some great documentaries on the making of. Even Halloween, the 78 version, has a great documentary. Those have kind of gone by the wayside these days because the physical copy isn't as popular as it once was. And now for bonus features, you're basically getting PR fluff pieces. They're about 12 minutes long and they're not that great. They don't really go in sight well. Disney's release of The Rise of Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker kind of brings that old school special feature documentary back, and they do it in a really big way. It's called The Skywalker Legacy, and this is a 2+ hour documentary about the making of the film, but it's also tied very much into the original trilogy. And it really is, watching it, I just had a grin on my face, not just because I'm a Star Wars fan, but because I am a physical media and I love these kind of documentaries. And I got insights into the movie that I wouldn't get anywhere else. A particular segment was a very nice commemoration to John Williams, Mastro John Williams. And something that you may not have known when you're watching the movie, he does have a cameo. He plays a bartender in the movie, and all of the bar accoutrements, believe it or not, were homages to John Williams' 51 Academy Award nominations. So if you look closely or pause it, you can see the barrels from Jaws. You can see the hook from Hook. All of these wonderful homages, and they just look like bar utensils. And it made John Williams, because even he himself didn't even realize it until J.J. Abrams pointed it out, and he got really emotional. These are the kind of documentaries that I miss. And this is a good full 2-hour documentary. Look, I was a fan of The Rise of Skywalker to an extent. There were certain plot points that I wasn't too much of a fan of. This documentary does connect certain dots, which is fine. I have a better understanding as to why they took certain routes. But more so, I was just pleased to see a documentary that wasn't just a fluff piece. It was really about how we made this movie and how we needed to end this 9-episode journey. And I really thought it was fascinating, and I thought it was great that Disney actually took the time, the money to put into it to make this 2-hour documentary. If you're a Star Wars fan, I think it's a necessity to watch. If you're kind of on the fence, I still think you'll have a good time because it really does go into the collaborative process of filmmaking, and all the people they interview, all the people who are a part of this don't have a chip on their shoulder for being in it. You can tell that they really appreciated their time. Oscar Isaacs being one. He was just so fun to watch in interviews, and even Harrison Ford himself gave himself up for some interview time.
He wasn't grumpy. I was shocked.
He wasn't.
I saw it.
Right. He wasn't
in a good
grumpy, and he actually had some great insight. Of course, they talk about Carrie Fisher. They talk about how difficult it was to integrate her into the movie and how they slyly did it. They talk to her daughter a lot. I have a new appreciation for her. I loved her in Booksmart, right? But now I have a brand new appreciation for her because she too is so proud to be part of the legacy that her mom started. And you just watch this and you see the artistry and the puppetry. I really, even to see Billy D. Williams on this, as a Star Wars fan, as a movie fan, I really thought that this was a throwback to the day when they actually took time to produce great stuff for DVDs and Blu-rays and Laserdiscs. If you have the Blu-ray, it's a high recommend from me because you'll get some really nifty behind-the-scenes footage that you didn't know, and it's a lot of fun.
Cool. Thank you, Demetri.
Yeah.
I liked it too a lot.
You do?
Did you watch that too?
Yeah, it was very nostalgic. I thought I was watching it behind the scenes because I was just casually going through the extras. And then all of a sudden I was like, realized that was the documentary. And by the end, I wanted to cry because it was it was nostalgic. It took you pretty much from the start to the last film in the Skywalker legacy.
Yeah,
so,
and
it was very moving. I liked it.
Can I ask you something? Like, I was moved when John Williams gave Daisy Ridley his score sheet of Rey's theme. Ray's suite, and he autographed it. Do you remember that part? And she was so moved.
I remember the point.
Well,
I was more moved about the little details that they put in there in homage to other movies. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, and how they did take time to go back to the original trilogy, and I did love the homage to the original cast, and even Luke Skywalker himself, Mark Hamill was not grumpy about it, and they don't diss on Last Jedi.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, it was pretty even.
Thank goodness.
Which was pretty even. But I'm glad somebody else watched it, and at the end of it, you're going, yeah, okay, this is.
You guys are not alone. There's a lot of people who watch that documentary. There are.
No, I'm sure. I know we're not alone, but I'm just saying I'm glad that I wasn't the only one. It's kind of in my wheelhouse, so people would say, well, of course you're gonna like it. It's nice to hear it from somebody else.
Good. So I want to just quickly go through something. So yesterday there was a streaming service that's available only on your freaking phone that launched yesterday called Quibi.
I just watched something from that.
Yeah. Okay. So I got to be honest. One of our members is actually a part of one of the shows that are on there. It's not a big show. It's one of the Rotten Tomatoes shows. I don't mean to discredit him with this, but that show itself seems like something that should just be on YouTube. I actually don't know why it's on like a streaming platform like that. Just very much seems like something we're doing right here where like it would just be two of us. So that was a little strange, and they have one daily. But I did want to just talk a little bit about the service. I feel like the programming so far is either all internet content, like stuff where I would never pay money for, or there's a couple of shows, and the one show that I actually really, really like, but I hate the way it's being rolled out, is this show Survive. with the girl from Game of Thrones, Sophie Turner. Yeah, and I really like this show, and I'm really hooked on it. But the freaking layout is like you watch 3 episodes, and the episodes, get this, you ready? 7 to 10 minutes long, and it ends on a cliffhanger, and you're like, okay, what's that? And then like they release 1 episode a day afterwards, and I'm kind of like, unless I'm really, really hooked onto this, I'm probably not going to remember to come back and watch this. And then they keep adding more and more content for you to like check out. Oh, you may like this. You may like this. It's a very weird design. I don't know in this day and age with everything having an app, if we really need this sort of thing. Like we could kind of like pause, and like that's a great thing about DVR, right? You can watch half of an episode of something, stop it, and then pick it up later. I don't know. It's a very weird mix. I feel like there's a bunch of shit you wouldn't pay for, and then there's maybe like 2 or 3 shows that people would watch, but they're going to be like annoyed by the way it's being rolled out. Anyone else use Quibi so far? I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
What's the price here?
Okay, hold on, Shannon. What? Go ahead.
I don't think I can talk about the show because I'm under embargo.
Okay, all right. You
but
don't have to talk about
the experience.
Yeah, the experience I had, was similar to your experience and how it's laid out.
Yeah.
But in this case, I enjoyed it for what it is. That's so hard to say because I can't talk
about what it is. Okay.
But I think for what it is, for what this series is, I think it works, but I could see it not working for other genres.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I got to give them credit. The app is very like the load time is really great. I watch it on my iPhone. And apparently, like you can't even. I mean, at least put on Roku or something. Like I want to watch some of this stuff on TV, but like I was watching it when I was waiting for in between my shifts, and I really was. I was hooked into that Survive show, but like I get to the end of it and I want to watch more of it. And I'm like, I don't understand. And I think that's what a lot of people, the reviews that I've been reading so far. I know my good friend Fred Topel also, spoke about that and said like he hated that feature, how like he just wanted to finish it. Scott Mendelson also talked about how he just wanted to be finished, and the quality seems to be there, which for the shows, some of the shows seem like they have really great production values, great storytelling, great performances. I mean, I don't really even like Sophie Turner, and I think she's great on that show. She really did a great job dealing with mental illness.
It's an interesting thing. I think it's opening the doors for consuming content in a different way. I will admit that I have watched movies on my phone.
Yes.
During certain hours of the day, if I'm like working, and because I'm a drafter, like I'll have something on, and sometimes I can't have it on, my computer. But so I have watched stuff on my phone. So for me, I'm like, oh, this isn't bad if it's like 8 minutes, and if it's something I'm invested in, and there's a cliffhanger, like you kind of get a thrill with a cliffhanger sometimes. So I kind of like it, but I can understand it not being something that everyone's going to want to consume in that way.
And that's why I think it needs to have the option of either on the go, like there should be like an on the go option. And then like, if you're going to like really pay attention to it.
Yeah. I agree.
Because I think like, if you're going to have like, if someone's going to sit down, because we're so used to binging things now.
Yeah.
Right. Like one of the things like I remember was that Amazon Prime used to do like every week there was episodes, and people would hate that. I remember everyone was like
Disney Plus.
Yeah. Disney Plus did that too with Mandalorian, and everyone was complaining. They're like, oh my God, I just want it now. I want it now, because now we're so used to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a weird service because I have such mixed feelings about it. And I'm curious, they gave 90 days away for free. That's kind of like the draw. So if you want to sign up, you get 90 days to try it out. I'm curious to see how many people last after the 90 days, and also how much of the content is really going to be captivating enough for people to stay on long term. Because so far I found 1 or 2 shows that I'm into. That Survive one is really keeping me in. but I'm the rest of the stuff just seems like fluff that I should be watching online. It all seems like web series or something like that. But I'm curious to see where they go. I know they just launched, so we'll see.
I think it's meant for a younger generation who's grown up on the phone, you know. But I think, but I saw their slate and they're all over the board though.
Yes.
So I was like, okay, if you're going to target the younger generation, like, there's no uniform marketing to it, because it's also like the Chrissy, what's her name, John Legend's wife,
Chrissy Teigen.
I can see people tuning in for that, but there's other stuff. I'm like, the young people are not going to really care for that kind of content. So
I agree.
To me, the slate was just uneven for me, because I thought, they're targeting the younger kids, because like us older guys, we like watching it on our TVs, right?
I mean, first off, I want to know what the price point is after
$4.99 for the one with ads, and then I think it's either $6.99 or $7.99 for no ads.
Okay, so it's another subscription that you get. And again, I am not for anything that encourages people to watch stuff on their phone. That's just me. I am, like, for those who know me, I am
You are a dinosaur. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, yes. Hey, okay, but sure. Yeah, I love the movie-going experience. And, I know. I hate anything that discourages that. Now, listen, to watch a television show on your phone, it's another format to push to watch things, so long as we're not calling it a movie if it's a series. But I agree with you, Scott, too. Just put it all out there.
Yeah.
Let me decide how I want to watch it, other than the only reason why streaming works on binging is because we have to physically go into that program. It's not like tuning in to ABC and watching Everybody Loves Raymond or Happy Days, where that was very episodic. When you put Stranger Things on, put the whole thing out there, because that's streaming. Let me watch 1 episode, 2 episodes, and then I'll watch another episode tomorrow. Or let people watch the whole 9 episodes in one full-on sitting. You get used to that because of the format of streaming. That's how Netflix raised us. Where the networks raised us episodically. So Amazon Prime, Disney Plus, just put The Mandalorian out there. Let people watch it at their leisure.
Lupe, what were you going to say?
Sorry. Yeah.
Well, as you know, Scott, I Uber, and most people are watching short form content in the back of the car. So for them, it's perfect. And thinking about back in high school, when I used to take the bus for the hour-long ride, if I had the phone,
oh my God, I know.
I would be content, because I'm watching short form. So on the go.
But did you not talk to anybody on the bus?
Well, sometimes I was by myself. Sometimes
you didn't read a book,
but sometimes you're by yourself. But even now, when you see a bunch of kids,
and I think you're right. I think it is exactly what you said, Lupe. I think it's content that is made for a younger generation. Absolutely. I think that they're working really hard on trying to balance and try to get audiences. So I think they're just going to have some tweaks. I think I don't hate the idea. Like at first, like I thought I really, really was going to hate it, but like I got to be honest. Like now that I know the way that it's laid out, like it was kind of nice. Like in between, I'm like doing, like a stop today. I can like kind of put it on for a few minutes, watch it, and finish that episode, and then move on. But I don't know if it's going to be an adjustment, right? And that's what everyone's always afraid of with new technology, is an adjustment.
Yeah, people don't want commitment.
No.
Long-term commitment.
No.
And I think at the end of the day, both can exist. Films can exist to be watched in theaters, and films can, keep up with newer technology, which makes it great. But some people can't afford to go to the theater. So if eventually it's something they can watch on their phone.
Those are the same people that'll go to a baseball game, which is far more expensive than going to a movie theater. So, I mean, look, I can, not in this episode, but I can go into how the studios and the exhibitors have to help.
You cannot go into anything in this episode, because we got to end.
No. But, I understand Quibi. I understand TikTok, although you really shouldn't do TikTok, because they're talking about major security breaches on that and information gathering. But I get it. I understand why they're so popular. because they are quick hits. You know, a lot of people have the attention span of a gnat. And I can watch that. That's funny. And then you're on to the next thing. And like 2 days from now, you'll forget about what you were watching on TikTok or maybe even on Quibi.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people forget what they watch on TV too.
Yes, absolutely. So I wanted to do something at the end of every episode. I wanted to kind of throw out a poll question, which we will answer, which we will like read the responses to next week. So for this week, and because it's this day, it is the 25th anniversary of a Goofy movie. So I'm going to tweet out the question right now. What is your favorite song from the movie? And people can answer that. And real quick, before we end the episode, let's go around. What is your favorite song from a Goofy movie?
I don't think I've ever seen a Goofy movie.
What?
I've seen a Goofy movie, but it was a theme. I can't remember. How many times do you think I watched a Goofy movie?
What?
James,
I have
What's
no clue.
Scott, what's your favorite song?
Huh? I
What's
love
your favorite song?
On the Open Road.
Yeah, that's my favorite too.
Yeah, yeah,
me too.
Yeah, I think it's unanimous.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I remember a
That's
Goofy
very
movie
rare
when
that
it
I'm
came
actually
out.
the most popular answer. Oh my God.
Sorry.
I can't believe no one's watched the Goofy movie.
And
except
you
for
was my
Demetri
favorite
long time
I
character.
ago.
can tell you, and this is part of it. It's really funny that you mentioned the Goofy movie today too, because I think you follow them on Instagram too. But Crimson Apple sent out a picture of the Goofy movie, so they were cognizant of the Goofy movie. And I wonder what their favorite song might be. It's been 25 years since I've watched it. Do you own it? Is it
I
back
do.
in your
I
Blu-ray?
do.
Look it up,
I
man.
do.
Where is it? Where is it?
Right here.
I wanna
Right
see
here.
it.
Right there. Right there. Right there.
Oh my God.
Right there.
That is awesome.
Yes. It's like one of
That
my
is
favorite Disney movies.
Fashion DVD. That is awesome.
Oh.
What else? What's your second favorite song?
Eye to Eye.
Okay.
Wow, you're like in deep
The
with a Goofy
Powerline
movie.
song. You guys really don't know this. Wow. Wow. It's
I'm not
weird
gonna
that
lie.
I would have
It's
more
been-
Disney knowledge than that's because I'm like not a.
It was
I don't even
25
remember a
years
Goofy
ago.
movie.
I remember
Yeah, I
seeing
don't
the
either.
movie, but I only saw it in the theaters once. You know, I liked it. I can't remember. And forgive me, I can go through my 200 plus Blu-rays, and I don't think I don't have it in my Blu-ray collection. I'm not even sure it's available on Blu-ray.
It isn't. Well, by the way,
See, that's what Disney thinks
well,
of the
I
Goofy
guess
movie.
whenever I do these shows, I'll be picking out the random movies then that no one has ever seen before. So, but hey, listen,
I love it though.
yeah, no, I do too. So this is wonderful to see everyone. Thank you so
Yes.
much for participating. Shannon, welcome to the family.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
It's a
no
pleasure.
problem.
Thank
And
you.
I hope you get to see us and engage with us in
Yes.
public. That would
Yes.
be really
That'd be
fun.
awesome.
Someday.
At the awards
Someday.
ceremony.
Yes,
and all that
I
good
can't
stuff.
wait.
But yeah, so thank you everyone. If you want to just go around real quick, just let everyone know where they can find you real quick, and then we'll sign off.
Sure, you can find me on Instagram at Hard Design Chick or Twitter at Shannon_McGrew.
Demetri, you go. I just blanked.
Okay. Just like a Goofy movie song.
Yeah.
You can find. Well, I'm brand new to Instagram. I still don't know what the hell I'm doing, other than my name is Demetri Panos, all one word. And Twitter, same thing, at Demetri Panos on the Twitters, and it's the same thing on Instagram. You can find me there, trying to figure out what the hell I'm exactly doing.
All right, Lupe, go.
All right. On Twitter, I'm at Cinemovie, and then on Instagram at Cinemovie TV. And then you can
I
also
see your
find
dog,
me
Lupe.
on Facebook, huh? Here's my doggy
Your doggy.
Yeah.
Your doggy. And where are you on Facebook?
at
I
Cinemovie.
interrupted.
That's in a movie.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at TheOtherScottM. WeLiveEntertainment.com, which I've been very bad at not updating at all because I have zero motivation to write reviews. Yeah, I feel
Same.
like
How many
we
movies have
all
you
have
gone
that
to
same
lately?
kind of thing. Like I'm like, no.
Yeah.
But hey, thank you everyone for watching. We'll have another show on Saturday. It's going to be a different type of show. So Whatcha Watching is going to be on Tuesdays, and then on Saturdays we're going to do like kind of like a switch it up, and we'll talk about like a movie one week or a TV show the next week. We're going to switch stuff up. So thank you so much for watching this first episode. Let us know in the comments what you think.
Thank you.
All right. See you soon,
everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you very much.
Bye.
All. Bye.